let's talk about education. And I think this is the most interesting thing about having the dynamic duo sitting down, is you're on both sides of the field. Mr. Sodano has a very financial background. I can read you off here. He got the bachelor's degree in accounting and economics, and then a master's degree in finance and investments at Hofstra University.
Right.
On the other hand, Mr. Quick took a completely different route and studied. I got a bachelor's degree in engineering from UVA, University of Virginia, back in our hometown, and then a Stanford University's Graduate School of Petroleum Engineering. Then he went into the Navy for about, what was it?
Actually, in between those two.
It was in between?
Yes.
Gotcha. So it's totally different parts of the field. We have finance, and we have engineering and Navy, yet you're both here at the American Stock Exchange. With that in mind, what do you recommend when it comes to college and it's time to choose your education path?
Well, I always believe that accounting and finance is the language of business. So if you do decide that business is the place you want to go, I always believed all along that accounting in particular and finance, which goes along with that, they're not the same thing, they're really different, go together as an excellent basis for just about any type of job in the business world. You can always stick within the principal boundaries of those disciplines themselves, or that will give you a basis to grow up into different avenues within the business world. But using Peter as an example, he came from a completely different avenue, and I'd like to say if you're just plain smart and you work hard and you develop discipline skills such as analytics, the ability to understand, communicate. Peter could talk about himself rather than myself doing that, but here's a good example of just you do not have to be a financial background person to work in the financial industry. Peter?
No, there's certainly a lot of things here at the exchange that don't require a financial background. It's always good to have one, and if I had to do anything different in college, I may have taken a couple of more electives in finance than I was able to under a pretty rigorous engineering schedule. But you take a look at just the way things work, whether they be mechanical or communications down here on the floor, and engineering background gives you a pretty good background for dealing with problems like that.
Sure. So really, when you're in college, if you can study finance, or if you're doing engineering, you're doing liberal arts, take some financial classes, but it's not necessarily a prerequisite. I guess there's always time to get out and get work experience and develop that flair and that interest later on. Listen, I want to talk about the uniformed services. I've had a lot of teens ask me, what's your advice for uniformed services, for going into the military or the Navy or the Air Force? Tell me about it. Did it help you in your job today?
Well, I believe it did help me. I went to University of Virginia on an ROTC scholarship, and I served 4 years active duty afterwards. And it really gave you a great grounding, but also gave you more responsibility at a younger age, I think, than many other jobs available. All of a sudden you're an ensign fresh out of school, and you've got 30 people on a ship reporting to you. After going to maybe a basic surface warfare officer school.
You learn leadership quickly.
So you learn it pretty fast, and you've got a couple of old crusty chiefs there to help you along the way.
Crack the whip a bit.
So it's a very different experience, but I think it gives you a discipline that's always good in business.
So who would you recommend ROTC or uniformed services to?
Any young man or woman who's looking for an opportunity to see a little bit of the world, to get a lot of responsibility at a young age, to serve their country. I think it's a great opportunity. And later on, I think, in general, business leaders like folks who have had a little bit of military experience behind them also.
Okay.